The 20/80 of your script writing for winning ads. Let's say that you're doing an ad that is 60 seconds long. What's the 20% of input? What's the 20% of that ad that will give you 80% of the results? Is it going to be the CTA? Is it going to be the body in the middle? No, it's going to be the beginning. So in this case, the 20% of 60 seconds is 12 seconds, which is more or less like your hold rate, right? What's the 20% of those 12 seconds? Well, the 20% is 2.4 seconds, which is more or less your hook rate. Whenever you do your hold rate, the beginning of your ad, it's better to focus on the end of this hold rate or the beginning of this hold rate. The beginning, right? Because that's actually the hook rate, right? People consume videos from point zero to the end, right? So that's why. The 20% of the 20%, we said it's the hook rate, but we can even go further, okay? So what's the 20% of that hook rate? Okay, so if the hook rate is, in this case, we just did the calculation on 60 seconds, is 2.4, well, the 20% of that is 0.4, 0.5, something like that, right? How can you focus on that little short amount of time? Well, you focus on headlines. And why is that? Because if your headlines have less than 5 words, your brain, the human brain, scans the information. That's a different way of consuming information than reading, okay? If you read information, it takes longer for your brain to process those information, while if they see just 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, up to 5 words, the words need to be simple, need to be like power words, need to be like words that they know, they can recognize, need to be in the language they are, of course, speaking and reading. So if your headlines are less than 5 seconds, your brain switch the way they consume information and go from reading to scanning words, okay? So it takes about 0.2 to 0.4 seconds to understand and to process these 5 words. That's the first thing that will tell your audience whether if they find this interesting and if it's interesting for them, right? So this is the 20% of the 20% of the 20%. The 20% of inputs gives you 80% of the results, right? So the 20% of 20% will give you the 80% of the 80%. That's also true, especially if we're dealing with large numbers, okay? Which we do in Meta when we push ads. We are dealing with millions of impressions, okay? So millions of people reaching. So this is more or less true, in general true. The 20% of the 20% is the 4%. The 20% of those 4% is 0.8, let's say 1. The 80% of the 80% is 64, and the 80% of 64 is 51, something like that. So basically, if you focus on the headline, if you really put some effort there, that's 1% of your time that you should spend on that, and it will give you 50% of the returns. You see this everywhere in advertising, creative strategy. No one talks about this. It just makes sense, right? I'm a very data-driven guy. I just look at the numbers, if things work or not. Even whenever we check our ads and the hit rate of these ads, on average, 2 ads out of 10 will take all the spend. Like if you see the amount of ads that you're doing, probably the 20% of those ads will give you 80% of your revenue. We want to work smart, not only hard. That's one thing you should consider. Everybody focuses on the hook. No one focuses on the headline, which is the thing that can decide whether your audience can pay attention or not. Human brains scan information up to 5 words in 0.2, 0.5. The reason I'm studying this is because I run an advertising agency. We have 7-8 figure D2C brands to scale farther to 8-9 figures, and I do it with ad creatives for Meta. That was really important for us. That was really eye-opening, and I want to share with you because you can do it yourself if you're an advertiser or with your internal team. And if you are a 7-8 figure D2C owner and you're looking for someone like an agency that can help you scale faster or can help you eliminate you from the process, we are here. Book a call. You will find it in the description, and thanks for watching.